Welcome back to the Detroit is Different podcast studios. And you all already see that it's fight time. But more so than fight time, it's like what the spectacle and what entertainment brings to life. When we think of Detroit to the whole world, it's a couple things that people first think of. But the man that I got in studio is named after one of the largest legends ever from it. Joe Louis II, Joe Louis Kitchen. You need to be already over there. The Southern Kitchen and the grits and catfish, amazing. I give that brand a stamp of approval. And now they in studio. How you doing, Joe?
Hey, how are you, man? Thanks so much for the nice words.
Oh, man. Hey, it's for real, though, man. It is for real. So definitely, I think internationally, it's a couple of things people think of in Detroit. It is Motown music. It is cars, American cars, let's be clear, and the brown bomber. You know what I'm saying? Like those are like the icons. And then I guess like afterwards, people say, you know, Eminem or Madonna or whatever, you know, after the fact. Right. But the Joe Louis legacy, man. Let's kind of start there. I always start these with like the ties to the city of Detroit. How deep do your roots go to the city of Detroit? Some of this we already kind of know, but let's start there. The legacy, your family in Detroit. What's the connection?
Yo, Detroit has, I think single-handedly been responsible really for the continued appreciation for what my father was able to do and accomplish. It has been 70 years since my father stepped into a ring. And Detroit is still paying homage to him as a man and as an athlete. The crazy part is for my father, the true heroes were the people who not only came before him, but the ones that came after him, but didn't have the privilege of fame to open doors for them. And yet they walked through those very doors with dignity and determination. Like I tell people anytime people will listen, actually, that long before Black people mattered in America, they mattered in Detroit.
Wow.
It's the Great Migration, it was a real thing. And people had a place to go, and they were inspired to get here. And when I think about how Detroit played a part in the development of the automated world, right? It is the birthplace of automation, without question. African Americans were able to go into Ford and get well-paying jobs to support their children, to send their kids later on to predominantly Black colleges. That all of that started, or access to it started in Detroit.
And as you uplifted, like I say, and you're sharing and pouring love into Detroit, it's like, oh man, we like role reversing and everything, but I love it because I love my city. And even what you said, now that's one heck of a quote that I'm definitely gonna use on one of these panels or something that they have me speaking on. But I like that. I'm gonna give you credit for it about us having a place here before any other place, and then even just in the understanding, the family legacy. What was it? Your father that said, "Okay, I want to go to Detroit," and that's what?
No.
What was the connection?
So my father was born in Lafayette, Alabama, in 1913, and he was the grandson of a slave owner, and the grandson of a slave. Right? My grandmother and her. My father's stepfather, who he would later come to think of as his father, decided to immigrate from Alabama because there really was no, between the lynchings and the lack of opportunity, they needed somewhere to come, and so Detroit was the place they, like so many others, chose. And were able to find work and to create community, and it would later be the launching ground for his career.
And as you say that, definitely these patterns, as we always talk about the roots of family, the Alabama and Georgia stand out in Detroit. And then the stories that you share, whether that be the horrors of, like, we think of James Boggs, even Coleman Young and his family, like from Alabama, getting out of Alabama to Detroit because of racism, lynchings, and all of the things there, and lack of opportunity to head to Detroit becomes a path that many take, and your family in that same arc. So we think of, like, your father in like I say, legendary. Black Bottom, Detroit. Definitely those connections. I'm kind of going to it. What are the before the national fame? What are those connections that you learned about, like, that your family's just kind of navigating in Detroit as they're coming?
So my father grew up running the streets of Black Bottom,
Okay.
like many other people of his generation, and it's both heartwarming and heartbreaking to think about in later years what would happen to Black Bottom.
Yes.
How it would be slowly dismantled. But I do believe it's coming back. I mean, it's hard to talk about the birth of community and not speak of Black Bottom.
Yeah.
Right. And the truth is, in so many ways, the very things that they created to establish community and to offer opportunity are also the very things that even ended up dividing us. Affirmative action, for example. At one time we had within our own community segments of that community. We had the affluent, the middle class, and the people who were struggling. But it was all within a system, and that system was designed to lift us up. When they created an affirmative action, so often people, they rose out of poverty, out of their own community, and they forgot to go back and reach back in and pull people out. And I think that's the interesting thing about my father. My father was always trying to do that. He was always trying to open doors for others. And if you look at his history in just in entrepreneurship, in opening businesses, in funding other athletes, he always used his platform for the betterment of the community, and not just the Black community. I just want to say, in furtherance of the human community, and I also think that that's a good place for us to recognize that Detroit was not only a launching pad for our community, it was a launching pad for the women's rights movement. I mean, without Rosie the Riveter, right, there would be no active women's movement today. That's where it started. Women went into the workforce. They built bombers, and they proved that they could activate and work on par with men. And I think that they really are the backbone of every community. I love the history of Detroit, and I love that I care enough to think about it, and that you care enough to bring the attention to it.
Well, definitely, especially I shared this in the interview that with the gentleman before. It's like my mind is like associative of things, and Joe Louis, a lot of stuff associated with that, and just American history, Black history. We even think of it's been uplifted so many times from a lot of the elders that they interview, like the times when Joe Louis would have a fight and people gathering around the radio, and it's like pots and pans and banging everything, and then when your father would win those matches and what it meant for the whole community. And then, obviously, as we know, things move forward, and against Max Schmeling, it's like really like on behalf of America itself and what that meant. So, like, what's transcended the legacy of Joe Louis, it's huge. I mean, even Joe Louis Arena, the fist, the statue inside of, I think, what is it now, Huntington Place.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, this is like just in that fabric. But we talking about that entrepreneurship, and I don't think that that's always uplifted in the same arc. And your father's influenced definitely others, like Sugar Ray Robinson, Wilt Chamberlain, Jim Brown, even James Brown. Like, your father's journey into entrepreneurship And the ways, I don't think that that's highlighted enough because that was very prevalent too, which I'm sure kind of goes into like getting that black bottom spirit and witnessing that as a child.
I think many of the things that my father was able to accomplish in his career, right, were overshadowed by his sheer talent as a boxer. It's easy to overlook things when something looms so large and shines so bright. And so often in the other things that he did, he had to do them quietly to be allowed to do them.
Yeah.
Right. Whether it be activism on behalf of civil rights, where, because my father did it quietly, right? Muhammad Ali could do it loud, proud, and boastfully. But without that initial quiet defiance, it wouldn't have changed. And I think that so often, that's what we're missing now, to remember that change comes incrementally. So often we want it right now, and we sit still, right? Because we think we're not getting it. But the truth is, like so many other things in my life, when I'm sitting between two people, right, who I admire, and I think of as miracles, I then begin to think, well, maybe I too can do something great. But it's not until I'm sitting between them. Otherwise, my life just kind of happens to me, that I don't think about the impact that it has on others or my responsibility to them.
Yeah, I think
I don't know if that made any sense.
No. I follow you, and we're gonna get to food in a second because I got some questions for you in food shortly. But now really grounding in this like boxing, and we think of America itself and what boxing is, and I'm a boxing fan even to this day. Even as people say it's not as exciting. We was watching the fight 2 weeks ago, but there are three figures that stand out in the arc of it, in Jack Johnson, Joe Louis, and Muhammad Ali, and all of their stories are so interconnected, as all of them in their own way are representative of Black culture in a time where, like, even to today, like what access can be given. And I think that as you kind of shared, but Joe, a lot of the business stuff kind of connecting in that too. So that like also connects into like the restaurants and other businesses, the what would happen with cars. But let's really talk a lot of the food, because the kitchen is right there. Right now, if you haven't been, you should have been. And they just opened up a new location in Southfield. But if you have not been and experienced the food, it's it was a lot of people like, okay, where do we go? We get some breakfast, you know what I'm saying? That soul food breakfast, and this is that space. Let's talk a little bit about that, and what was it like? How did you learn? What was your foray into like, okay, if we're gonna have a restaurant in honor of the legacy of your father, what is that feel gonna be like?
So let me just tell you. So this is a pretty interesting story. My father was a lover of food. My father had several restaurants in New York. He even had a restaurant in Paris, France. And so when I was thinking about the redevelopment or the relaunching of the Joe Louis brand, right, I wanted to start somewhere. And my partner, Johnny Cannon, he's really I call him the dog whisperer, because he literally has this ability of articulating or translating what it is I'm thinking. I'm pretty much a scattered brain, right? Like my brain goes all kinds of different places.
Hey, it's a lot in there, and it gets creative, man. I'm with it.
I reach for words, and I'm trying to actually articulate what I'm trying to say. But the one thing I wanted more than anything else was to build a restaurant around community that wasn't a boxing restaurant. I didn't want to be seen as someone taking advantage of or my father's association, right? Or doing something that that wouldn't be taken seriously in the world of food, right? I wanted to create an environment that was inviting, food that people recognized, and that would evoke memories that all of us have. And so the very first location, we started back in 2021. Johnny and I met in in May of 2018, and we had a blue moon and Brussels sprouts on the at the oh my God, what's it called? The what's it called? And I can't remember this hotel. Okay. And I remember thinking to myself, my mother, and I told Johnny this at the time. My mother told me at some point you're going to have to trust somebody.
Interesting.
And I said to him, I guess it's going to be you. And from the very beginning, I had in my head, I knew that it was a themed restaurant, and I knew that theme was built around not the image of my father, but the legacy that he left behind. And we decided to be open from 7 to 3. We decided that because it's right off of a university campus. Most of our employees are single parents. And we wanted to be able to create a business that provided for people and allowed them to make a decent living, but to be home the most important meal of the day and with the people who they actually go to work to support. And so we built the Southern Kitchen there. We are an all-day brunch spot where, again, we're open from 7 to 3. The significance of the porch is my grandmother, my mother's mother, my father loved her a lot. And growing up, in West Hollywood, actually, not in Detroit, but growing up in West Hollywood, my grandmother and my mother would be in the kitchen with Barbara Sinatra and Altavice Davis, and on the porch would be Sammy Davis, Frank Sinatra, my Uncle Dean. They'd be playing pinochle, and I'd be running around trying to get in the pot. My mother would be thanking me with the wooden spoon, and I thought, why not recreate that environment, that feel of family and friendship? And so that's how Southern Kitchen was born.
All right, time out. You gotta give a moment, because like that's a real life, like dropping the Rat Pack is like a name drop. That's something, you know what I'm saying? And if you're younger and you don't know who they are, I would say that watch some of the original Ocean's 11 and just get like a basis of what cool becomes in film and cinema. But along with that, what's represented in that time, and was spoken to. And you also just went over, and I didn't really highlight it like I said I should have, but restaurants and businesses, like the arc of, like, if you all kind of get this, like, go back in time, you're looking at like what you are as a sports celebrity, like in the 50s and 60s, and you're Black, it becomes like a branded theme of restaurants, cars, multiple locations, because I think like that foundation is really set from your father. So what we see with like I said, a lot of the other ones, Sugar Ray Robinson, Wilt Chamberlain, Jim Brown, like they're following suit from a premise that already, like a statute that's already set in path of what your father did. And even that relationship of your father staying so supportive of, as you said, other athletes, and Muhammad Ali as well. Like, I don't even know where people even get the relationship was strong throughout and connected in it till his passing. Like, but business was very strong in the Joe Louis brand. I just wanted
I have to tell you that more than anything, I think my father wanted to reflect in the community what he saw, right? He so desperately wanted other people to see themselves in him, their own possibility, right? And so I think that's why he did things as he did, and he was never really seeking attention. He just knew, like, that in order to get people to follow a worthy path, right? You can't tell them about it. You have to show them. You have to give them examples to follow, right? And it's interesting to watch that transition, even in other athletes. Like Ali, him and my father were remarkably close, but there was a period of time where Ali didn't really appreciate what my father had, the sacrifices he had to make, and the quiet contribution to defiance that he evoked, right?
Mhm.
In fact, Ali was famous for saying my father was an Uncle Tom, but it was really interesting that how his view of that changed over time. And if you go back, if you just type in on YouTube Muhammad Ali Joe Louis or Muhammad Ali on Joe Louis, it's quite remarkable the breadth of interviews from the beginning to the end, his description of that relationship. But I think that it's also evidence that we change. That as we get older, right? Life is a lesson, experience the teacher. Well, you can't have the experience, and you can't get that life until you have that experience.
And I mean that relationship definitely. I mean even like Joe Frazier, which I'm not related to Joe Frazier, but like even that relationship in boxing to this day of what is created in its own arc. I think the brilliance of Muhammad Ali, and even the vulnerabilities, the insecurities, what was uplifted, the reflections. It's a lot that happens in time that I think, as you say, like wisdom grounds. And even in your father's journey, the relationship with the relationship with America itself. You know what I'm saying? Like all of this begins things that are in history that, like I say, it's like this stuff is there because just the legacy of your father is like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? But real heavy, but moments in time that are crystallized. But one of the pure things about your father's legacy is you talk about representing with the people. If you are connected to Black America in the time of your father's tenure in boxing, that connection is strong. But if you're in Black Detroit, the celebrations, the boldness, the belief in what becomes of a Coleman Young and the Irma Hendersons, the Ken Cockrell seniors, like a lot of this, the arc, I mean, all those Miller High graduates, like a lot of this is seeing so much of like it can be done just from watching a Joe Louis, and it spoke to from all of these different people, and what that represented. That was the boldness of them bringing Paul Robeson here and Ralph Bunch and like all of these legends all basically had like a boldness of like, we can connect with the world because Champ is coming and he's right here in Brewster's, like connecting. So I don't know if you all could imagine this. Like it would be like, I'm being more contemporary right now, of like, it would be like, a Mike Tyson or Money Mayweather, like training in the middle of, like, as people are familiar with, like O Block in Chicago or something, like right now, like it just, you just wouldn't think that something like that would happen to see, but it was graspable and touchable. So it perpetuated a whole lot, I think, of, like you say, that Detroit spirit, that bravado, that, yeah, it can happen.
And I really appreciate, first of all, I appreciate your sense of history. I'm a little floored by it, to be honest with you. So often, people know none of this. But what I will say to you is that you carry that forward, right, to today, and it's still each one teach one. People emulate what they see. And if we can remember that as a community, right, and to reach back in and to pull the next person out, or just to tell someone, yo, how are you doing? Are you struggling? Like to notice where people are and to give them hope. Change is not possible without hope. Without hope, there is no change. Like it ain't happening. But again, it's incremental. And I think what's really remarkable about my father is he didn't have a path to follow. He had to carve a path.
Yes.
Now there are millions of breadcrumbs that all of us are leaving, right? Towards something better if we're willing to be patient and to work hard.
Which I gotta say, a lot of that not having a path to follow dealt with the bravado in the arc of Jack Johnson at the time. Like it's not like Jack Johnson and his and where he was in boxing impacted a lot of things in Black people with just Black life period. But that path after, like I say, I think that they're all three kind of interconnected in a lot of ways, the way I see it in history. But I don't know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like it even like your father and Jesse Owens' relationship from what that was, because it's like we can't have that. I mean, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's laws were created because of Jack Johnson. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You know what's really interesting? It's interesting you bring that up because Jack Johnson was a masterful fighter.
Yeah.
He was certainly bold. You know, people will say a lot of times people flew planes into to towers. They were a lot of things, but they weren't cowards. Like you can call them a lot of things, but you can't call them scared, right? Jack Johnson was a masterful fighter. He was bold, but he didn't recognize the bridges he was blowing up in his need to do it now. Mm-hmm. He wanted what he wanted. He was brave enough to reach for it, but it shut down a lot of things.
Oh, it definitely did.
That had to, you know, new doors had to be reopened and connections had to be reestablished. And for years, people didn't want to see us achieve just because of what one man did.
Yes.
And so it is so important to remember that the impact that we have and that it's not always just about us. It's about the people that come behind us. And I think the one thing about the Southern Kitchen that I love is that I see entire generations sitting around the table. Like I've literally come into the Southern Kitchen and someone will call me, one of the staff will say, "Hey, there's someone here who wants to meet you." And it'll be like 4 generations of a family. Mm-hmm. And it's such a beautiful thing to see. And so, you know, I love that my partners and I are so strategic in what we're trying to do. You know, we will be opening another location in April.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's right. It's 1528 Woodward. It's right next door to Club Blue in the heart of downtown.
I know I didn't make Southfield. I'm gonna get that date and we're gonna do something with Detroit is different there. I'll reach out to y'all people. We'll do something creative. It's said. It's gonna happen.
Listen, I want to just say to you that I am so, and I'm not saying this because I'm here. I'm not really a person who blows smoke. But if I can ever be of service to you, because I think people who have an appreciation for where we've been are our best opportunity to where we're going. Right, and so often we are just so self-consumed, so with our own problems, and not that our own problems aren't real, but the reality is that without a sense of community, without a sense of hope, without a view for the future, with bright eyes, not squinted thoughts, right? Without that, it's very hard to continue forward, because this is not a journey for the weary. This is a journey for the warrior. Like, and that's just the way it is. And the truth is that's the way it's always been. And not just for Black people, for women, for Jews, for Muslims, for so many of society's minorities. The pathway forward has always been a trek for the warrior.
I'm with it. So as it's a couple more questions I gotta definitely hit you with show like food. So you said that you saw the vision of the restaurant being a space and place where even the people you're working with, you're more understanding they flow. How did you go about picking the menu? What was the thought process? How did you go about that?
Yeah, I know you're gonna be interviewing Johnny. Johnny is everything is developed around my father's love of food and the South.
Okay.
So it's all traditional breakfast foods.
Okay.
We have an incredible executive chef, Chef Kwan, who it's literally, we did a commercial with Pepsi, and it's really funny. Johnny's in the commercial. He's like, taste, hit. That's really what it's about. It's about taste, hit. You know, making sure that every dish is right. And that it's made with love and tradition.
Okay. All right. So that's there. And then, like you say, the layout, now that you've shared more, it's about the legacy of your father. Because you're right. It doesn't feel like, you can go into that. I don't know if a person did it, but like if in the 90s, if you were in Chicago and went to the Jordan restaurant, it was like a lot of paraphernalia of him playing basketball amongst the overpriced food you get. But that was, you know what I'm saying? That's an experience, you know what I'm saying? But it's it's a lot of the lifestyle of your father outside of ring that's very present there too. How has it been just like in that offering? I'm sure you probably have reconnected with possibly family, friends, other people. What's been the connection since ribbon cutting of the one?
It is forever ongoing. I've met family members that were family members and then family members who probably never were family members. Everyone's got a story.
Everybody got a Barrow in.
Everyone got a Barrow in them, and they're all welcome. The one thing I will tell you is that I genuinely believe that we will be the first national Black brand. We have never been in this for the moment. We are really in this for the legacy, right? Okay. And we are trying to create a brand that offers community and hope and good food and solidarity and like all of these words that require action to bring about. And again, it's really hard to find identification like it matters, right? So to be able to see yourself in the brands that you support, I think is really important. And to see the community rally around. From the day we opened, right, we have had a full dining room. On the weekends, there's always a wait. The idea that people are willing to wait is a humbling experience for me. It always is. And I'm always grateful that they're willing to do that. A lot of the food questions Johnny's the dog.
Johnny's going to give me all of that.
Johnny's he's going to give you all of that. And then he's going to do me better than I do me.
Hilarious.
So by the end of this, you're going to be like, yo, you Joe or Johnny.
Okay. All right. And as we get there, we always close with these classic Detroiters different questions. So I'm gonna definitely make sure you check out both locations. I love also the fact that I'm a Northwestern guy, that you all got the space not far from a house in the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? So we love that. Actually, the whole corridor that's going up there, Q with the kitchen, Baobab Fair and Yum Village. It's like a Black restaurant thing happening over there. We with that at New Center and touching back in Southfield, reaching out to so many of the people out there. I'm with it. Now, classic questions I always ask, and I'm gonna throw another one in there too. So we're gonna start with this. When you go, what's the meal that you order?
Oh my God! So just for the record, Johnny's off camera laughing. If someone wanted to poison me, they just put a drop of cyanide in the key lime pancakes.
Okay, key lime pancakes. That's where you going.
I'm going every time, single time.
All right, I'm with it. Now, very first car, year, make, and model, year you got it.
1984. 911 Cabriolet. Well, 911 Cabriolet, turbo fins, but not turbo.
Oh man. Okay. Where was the first place you went when you got that?
I went to a high school football game with my best friend.
Wow. It's like, talk about it. Man. All right. You're the DJ at the end of the fireworks. Woodward and Jefferson. You get to play 2 songs. What songs you playing?
Whitney Houston, Star Spangled Banner.
Okay.
And Yo, this is a hard question. Probably I want the crowd to go home, so something quiet from CeCe Winans. I don't know what.
Okay. All right. CeCe Winans. I'm thinking I don't know. It's a lot of stuff that I think, but I think always BB and CeCe. But I'm with it. I think I was listening to Count on Me with her and Whitney Houston the other day as you combining them. But all right, and last question. You could rename Woodward after one Detroiter. Who would it be and why?
Wow. Rosa Parks. And why? Because I think women are the backbone of America. They always have been, and they make the hardest decisions with the greatest of ease.
Well, Miss Rosa, we so much love for her. Somebody else that made their way up from Alabama up this way. And always graceful. Always graceful. So that's and I may think you may be the first person to give that, but that's definitely something to shout out. I'm so glad that I'm down the street. It's Rosa Parks Boulevard itself. I'm with it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate this.
All right. Peace.